host, Michael Ofwani X. I'm with my boy IQ Heavy. We about to talk about the strong in the past and the strong ahead. But for this particular episode, we are mastering emotional intelligence. It is critical not only in your lovepreneurship, but it's critical in your trading, it's critical in your investing, it's critical in your life, right? Your ability to master emotional intelligence will take you to the next level in every aspect. And so, before we begin, good brother Ivan, talk to the people about what emotional intelligence means to you, and before you begin there, give the people an introduction of what you do and your focus and what brings you live today.
How you doing? Definitely. How you doing? I go by IQ Heavy. Most people know me as, some people know me as Ivan. Some people know me as IQ. Some people know me as Did You Get Money? Put the fire in chat. I play those games. But as far as what we're touching on today is emotional intelligence, which I'm very keen on, and it took a lot of losses to get where I'm at. So I do understand it quite well. I guess the key factor on it, I would say, is more so just figuring out your personality type. Because before going into understanding the emotional intelligence, you might already be emotionally intelligent. So you can check that by your impulsiveness. So, if you're an impulsive decision maker, you might have you might have an emotional intelligence issues as far as being able to overcome something. So, good ways to look at it is like when you go to the store and you got a list. I don't know where everybody shops. Say you go into Walmart, Target, Kroger, whatever. But you put a list together. I'm going for eggs and bread and milk. If you go and you come back with more than bread and eggs and milk, you have emotional issues for your intelligence. And it's not a
That's good.
bad thing. It's just uh, you have a knack to be impulsive, and you'll justify it in ways that the same organizations that sell it to you do. So they call
Hmm.
them like
That's good.
when you go to the store, you get done buying all your groceries right at the register. They got gum, candy, lollipops. You might not have planned for that, but they plan for you to have an impulsive moment where you're like, you know what, my son won't stop yelling, or my kid is being extra in the store, so let me buy him a lollipop. They knew to put that right there because this is the point where you pause. Having emotional intelligence is having the ability to understand that this was the trap they set up for me. So going into this process, you already know I'm going in here to get A, B, C. When I get to the register, they're going to try to sell me D, E, F. I
Mm.
need to have enough emotional intelligence to know I do not need D, E, F, nor do I want D, E, F.
Mm.
So therefore, you go back to your plan, which is getting your A, B, C. That is basically emotional intelligence at that point because you're doing a well thought out strategy. You put the strategy together before you left your house. You went to the organization. You did exactly what you said you was going to do. Now, if you do something different, it can circumstantial, obviously. So, I'm not saying if you in the store and they come up with, right now we're selling bread for 25 cents. You're supposed to take advantage of that deal. That's also emotional intelligence. So that's where the intelligence part comes into play. Because you have to have enough wherewithal within self to make those type of decisions. So you're
Bro,
not
bro,
FOMO.
that was an amazing example. Run that example again for people who just missed it.
Yeah, just basically so you're not FOMO, so you don't have that fear of missing out. So when you at the register, and to give the example I just gave for anybody just coming in, I said everybody is planned to go to the store, and you said I'm going because I got to go get bread, eggs. And every time you come back, that bill is always bigger than what you anticipated to go to the
That's
store
good,
for.
bro.
We all go through it,
That's so
but
good.
it's actually a problem. So when you can identify that you do it, you understand. Now you're tapping into emotional intelligence because you have to ask yourself why. Why every time I leave my house with a plan? And I might
Mm.
not even have enough money to go past what I'm gonna get, what I'm gonna cover. You might put something on the credit card. You know, the point is, you got a plan. You left the house with a plan. And I know the pushback is everything can't go as planned. Everybody can't plan their life out. You don't know what you're gonna need when you get there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you do know what you're gonna need before you get there, So this is the point for the pushback for everybody that I have those situations where it's like, well, there's always that one circumstance. I can't argue with the person that's going to come with the outlier situation. You're going to have that point. I'm saying in general terminology, when you write out a list to go get what you're going to get, we all come back with more stuff than we anticipated. To have emotional intelligence is to not do that. To have
Mhm.
emotional intelligence is to do exactly what your plan was, because the intelligence part of your plan is to get to a goal. I would hope if one says, I want to have more money at the end of the year for whatever reason, to go on a trip, I don't know, buy something, indulge in something, whatever it may be, it really should be investing to keep it a buck. You should be putting your money into some vehicles that's going to take you into other assets that's going to make you more money, i.e., crypto, i.e., stocks, i.e., bonds, i.e., futures, i.e., options. Hell, I even tell people arbitrage. Buy something for $1, sell it for $2. The point is, you should be doing something to make you money. If you're not, I understand. I'm not judging. Full circle. I take trips all the time. But back to the point, when you do choose to make these type of decisions outside of what you knew you were going to do, you have to identify that you do not have emotional intelligence, because at that moment your emotions have taken over you and you're going to go outside of the structure that you've planned for yourself. You know this plan, you made it yourself, you know it's set up for you to win, you know if you utilize it in place it'll get you to your goal, so why wouldn't you stick with it?
Mm.
And then you'll say, well, I needed to do this, I had to do that. I can't argue with what you had to do or what you needed to do, but I'm pointing out where you lack the emotional intelligence at. And this is where we try to help you. So that way you do have the wherewithal to say to myself, you know what? Maybe I don't need that lollipop. Or I know I don't need that Kit Kat. Or I know I don't need those gummy bears. Or I could wait till I get out of this store, look into a better situation to maybe compare and contrast to find something that might even be cheaper than the alternative that you were presented with at the register. So there's always another way. There's always an ulterior, oh, not ulterior, but there's always another method in this situation to look for an ulterior motive to what you're trying to get to. So the outcome is I want to get candy. I didn't go to the store for candy, but I'm having a moment where it's like, you know what? I'm overwhelmed with the fact that I might want to buy this candy right now.
Mm.
Take a second.
That's so
Hmm,
good, bro.
how much is the candy? Is there another place that you might be able to find this candy cheaper? At that point, is it worth you traveling to the store? Did you calculate the gas that it might cost to go to? At this point, you might get so overwhelmed with the thought, man, we get the fuck out of this store. But the moment will help you pause to take a second to have a little bit of a wherewithal for emotional intelligence. That's all.
No, that's so good, bro. That's so good, bro. Because I feel like a lot of times we struggle with realizing whether or not we really we ABC is like, because that's such a good analogy. It's like ABC is what we need, and then somehow you end up with DEF, and it's like, wow, that's literally uh, a great example and very everyday example of what we do on a daily basis. Because sometimes we think we need DEF, or it just says about how we can get peer pressure into
Hmm.
buying more than we need, and then still not being able to get the actual things we needed,
Right.
while then simultaneously putting our efforts elsewhere. And so it's the importance of just focusing, concentration on our efforts is definitely. Yes, yes. And so I see a comment on here from Nikhil Singh. It says, "Is it related to Black people community? Related to all people's community. In fact, actually, all people struggle
Yeah,
with
but
emotional intelligence."
he got a point there. I'm not, to your point, it is all people. But see, this is where I do chime in because I am a black male, and I think that this problem seems to persist more so with our people. It seems to be the wanting to, you know what? To give a better example, I do a lot of financial analysis. I'm not a financial advisor, however, but I do dabble into understanding, trying to understand the mind of a person in these situations because I've been in these situations too. So I tell people, but most people, our issue is they'll say, well, I'm having a problem with money. I don't know that you have a problem with money. I don't know that we as a culture have a problem with money. We amass enormous amounts of money. I think we have a problem understanding how money works. So it's not necessarily a money problem, it's a problem with money. So then I give it like, what's the same thing? And I said, well, I guess the better way to give an analogy is like, if you look in your closet right now, just look at your designer clothes, tally up what you spent. Maybe look at your shoes, tally up what you spent. Hell, I know people smoke weed, indulge in other things. Just tally it up for a little bit. If you have more money tallied up in your closet than you do your bank account, is the problem money, or do you just have a problem with it? Because you clearly could, even when I do big purchases, I tell a person I spend 10% of my net income. Like, if what I'm buying, I can't use 10% to cover it, I can't afford it. It's just that simple. If it's $50,000, if it ain't 10% of what my income is, or what my overall amount of cash I have is, then it's not an investable situation. Because unless it's something that's foreseeable to make you more money. Now, if you're going to take $50,000 and put it into Bitcoin or put it into Meta or something like that, that's different because that gives you the ability to make yield in the future. You're buying your future now. Now, if it's the opposite of that and you just have the $50,000, in these situations, if it's to make a purchase, but it's all you got, that's a bad purchase. I don't care what it is. If it's a house, car, I don't care what it is. If all you got is what you're putting up, that's a horrible investment. Unless it's something to yield you back an investment. But in a situation like a house, that's a depreciating asset. I know they're taught to us you buy a house, it appreciates over time. That's if the area happens to appreciate. What if you're in an area that gets hit with, God forbid, a tragedy or one of the zones where it's a fire or a tornado? If your property value doesn't increase, then the mortgage, your property doesn't increase because that area didn't actually increase. So it's like you put $100,000 into a house to get back payments. Even if you do a rental home, I tell a person if you do a rental home and you're getting back payments on a rental home, you put $100,000 in, you're making money on the rental home, but you're just getting your $100,000 paid back to you slowly over time. Now, let's say the house goes up in value, $10 or $20,000. So you're gonna wait 5 years to get back $20,000 because really you put up 100. If at the end of it it's 120, the real math is just $20,000 you made on 5 years of holding your money. So really, what was the point? So you do need to invest in actual assets, things that appreciate in value versus depreciate. But back to go full circle, I'm just saying the 10% concept is like it gives you the ability to give yourself a nest egg. So if I got $100,000, you'll use that as a number. If I got 10%, I gotta buy something. That's $10,000. I still got another 90,000 that if something goes left, we're okay. We could figure it out. We'll be able to get to another move. Even if that move doesn't work out, we're okay. Now, if that's my last $10,000 and I'm putting it into something that I'm hoping goes okay, that's the lottery. That's literally gambling at that point. If it doesn't go correct, now you got to go left. Now it's miserable. Now it's poverty. Now it's possibly robbing and stealing. Now it's putting yourself in situations where you got to be less than when you didn't have to be. You could have just gave yourself the ability to, take your time because everybody wants to run their race, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So it's just taking your time, pacing yourself, allowing yourself to go one step at a time. Because the money is not the issue. You just have an issue with money. So to change that mindset, because this is where we're trying to get the emotional intelligence, you want to get out of having fear for something that doesn't make any goddamn sense. I'm just going to be honest with you. When we as Black people talk about, oh, I don't want to invest, I need that money right now, I got debt, I got bills. The whole point of investment is so that you can cover the ability to not have that situation be such a burden on you. I know a bunch of people got a Verizon bill, T-Mobile bill, Sprint bill. Did you know these are publicly traded companies and you could buy into the company and they'll give you a dividend? A dividend is basically something that every time the company make money, they're gonna pay you a percentage of that money they making based off the amount of shares that you hold in. So not only do you make money for buying it and they go up, you make money because you're holding it, simply. So at that point, Every 3 to 6 months, you'll get back income or yearly, because some of them are annually, some of them are weekly. That's another topic, though. We'll get into that on another conversation about stocks and finances. But back to the point, you could be paying your phone bill, or paying a portion of your phone bill with the company that you servicing the phone with. I hold Verizon right now. I hold quite a bit of shares of Verizon. I have to pay a Verizon bill. I have a Verizon business bill. Obviously, I write off a lot of my business stuff for my Verizon bill, but on top of that, I get a dividend from the company. They pay me to use the phone. So at some point, it gets to a point where if I put $1,000 out for the phone, but they've paid me a good 4 or 5 times in dividends, $400 or $500 at a time, they bought the phone for me and giving me money to keep using it. So at this point, it's a win-win. It's a no-brainer. You have to put your money into the best investment vehicles in the world,
So good,
which is
bro.
where everybody else puts their money, the stock market. The stock market, the crypto market, the bond market. I tell people even have a high yield saving account. But what you can't have is fear due to emotional lack of intelligence because you don't understand something. So you got to be able to look into it. And I get it. A lot of people, it's like, well, everything seems like a scam. I don't really know who to listen to. I'm not trying to put my money out there.
Mm.
Well, look, you with BYB right now. You got the ability to have a conversation, tap in with
Yeah.
us. We're already experiencing this space. This is already something that we do on a regular basis. I do small challenges. I do big account challenges. When I say big, I mean going from 100,000 to 1 million. But we do those. I have people in my cohorts where we've taken them from 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 50,000, 50,000 to 100,000. It's all just based off of your goal. And when they get there, they're not thinking, "Oh, let me spend this money to go on a trip." They worked hard for it. So they go put that money into other money that makes them more money. And then they take trips off the dividends and the residuals on the back end. They don't even touch their money. They getting so good with it, they taking loans against the assets. They like, yeah, can't I just borrow against? I'm like, you sure can. Why we touching assets when we can borrow against it?
Mm.
There's a system in place, and I realize that it's more of like a racial thing in America. They look at it racism, and I go, well, I look at it this way: they created a system. We don't necessarily benefit from said system. I can't disagree. However, that system does work. Maybe not for us, but it works. I'm pretty good at using stuff that works. So why not just take the system that they got and apply it with us? It works. Just need to change the face. That's all.
That's good. That's good. That's good. They can't change the mind. They can't change the mind nor the spirit, man. And that really gives a. First, we gotta give a snap on that, man. Bro was cooking, man. You left the stove on. You was you was cooking, cuz. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what we expect over here. Yeah, bro hit it on the head. This BYB University. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. IQ Heavy dropping the game, talking about mastering emotional intelligence. Because I'm telling you, that definitely hits home. That definitely hits home because I can even just think about those experiences just when you're thinking, okay, you know, should I invest in this? Should I invest in that? And we're worth the investment. We're worth the time, we're worth the future. And so, conversations like this with my bro, have been next level, have been the reason that I've been able to take it to the next level and do this even financial therapy right now session for this, right? Because this is something that is helping me in my trading journey, and I know it's helping those out there. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe, and comment some other things that you're doing to master emotional intelligence, because that is the topic. That is the topic. And so some of the things that we do, right? We write different books that transform our financial well-being. And so we do want to give a quick word from our sponsors. And then really, I already know my good bro to the point of bro talking about their system. One things that helped me learn about their system is this book here, 48 Laws of
Great,
Power.
great,
You know what
great
I
book right
mean?
there.
And so we're gonna also read some passages to Burrow's point that relate to emotional intelligence. I want to make sure we talk real quick, to how to write grants, because we have a little a financial passage in there, and the main thing is really you talking about that budget, right? Because that's the master emotional intelligence. Because to Brody's point, you know, failing to plan is planning to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And so it's all about our plan. And now we're taking it to the next level where not only do we plan, but we're now executing on that plan. We're now making sure we follow through. Because to Brody's point, we got to make sure now when we say A, B, and C, it's only A, B, and C. No more D, E, F. No more D, E, F. All right. We got to stay A, B, and C. And like school, right? We got to stay A, B, and C. You know what I'm talking about? So to create a true budget, and this is actually in our chapter 6, developing an accurate budget. So to create a true budget, you must first fear of failure and fear of success are new doubts about the Most High's value and worth for your life. So we said to create a true budget, you must first commit to your estimations. To Brody's point, that's what I already knew. It was hitting on the head, and then calculate your actuals in order to trend if you are moving in the right direction. Many people overestimate or underreport their expenses and their revenues because we are always trained to prepare for the worst rather than living our best, right? Talk about being your best university. That's why y'all rocking out with us, because you're here to be your best. So projected versus actuals, improving accuracy in your Nubian grant budgeting. So one of the most important aspects of successful grant writing is developing an accurate budget. So even that, when it comes to your trading plan, you gotta, to Brody's point, make sure you're thinking about that budget. So this is especially important for Nubian focused grant proposals, as these proposals often require specific and detailed budgeting in order to effectively address the needs of the community. However, developing an accurate budget can be a challenge, as there are often many factors that can impact the final outcome. One of the biggest challenges in budgeting for grant proposals is the difference between projected and actuals. So, projected expenses are the estimated costs that are included in the grant proposals, while actual expenses are the costs that are incurred during the implementation of the project. So, in order to develop an accurate project, it is important to be able to accurately predict the actual expenses that will be incurred, to Brody's point. So we got to plan and invest in our future, right? We got to be able to think about the expenses that the delayed gratification or other places this capital could be placed, right? You got to think ahead. What are the other ways I could use this particular capital? Capital placement is everything. It is everything. And it's not about the asset. It's not just about the asset. It's more important when you enter the asset. So one way to improve the accuracy of budgeting is to conduct thorough research on the costs associated with similar projects. This can help to identify potential costs that may have been overlooked in the initial budget projections. Additionally, it's important to regularly review and update the budget throughout the implementation of the project in order to ensure that actual expenses are staying within the projected budget. And lastly, another important factor in developing an accurate budget is to ensure that all expenses are included. This includes direct costs such as materials and labors, as well as indirect costs such as overhead and administrative expenses. It is also important to consider any potential contingencies or unexpected expenses that may arise during the implementation of this project. And so we'll end it on there. So, thoughts on that, Brody?
No, that was definitely good with the budget part of it. I think you that allocation for risk to reward is where it's at. Most people don't understand on the budget side of what you're explaining. That's how you allocate your risk to reward in those situations. Because if you don't know what your actual budget is versus what your projected budget is, you won't even really have a business to start out. Because that one error could be the determinant factor for how you start. And how you start is how you finish. So if you don't start how you're supposed to finish, it ain't gonna finish off
Yeah.
correctly. You're gonna have a bad situation. So that's why I say it lines up well with understanding that it's just risk to reward. So in those situations, you always want to look for a proven voice. I tell people, you want to get a grant, right? You want to learn how to get into stocks, right? You want to just go on YouTube and take hours out your day and your time to go try to figure it out? Or would you go with people who already took hours and time out their life to master that area for you?
Come on, bro.
So you just got to give us a call, tap in, send an email, send a link, shoot a text. It's social media days, so everything is accessible. It's just if you're ready to change your life, your ability to get into stocks, your ability to get into changing your financial future, because that's really all we're doing. You get the ability to buy your future, which is buying your time back. We've been in situations where we work until we 40 and 50 and 60 years old and retire. Nobody want to do that. Why not open a business for yourself and be able to have your time back, spend your time with your family? Today, Valentine's Day. I'm 36 years old. I'll be 37 in March. I retired in October of last year. and then I jumped into this. I was out at the
Amen.
hotel today with wifey. We in the jacuzzi. We sitting there chilling. I made $13,444 while I was sitting in the jacuzzi on a random Friday at 2 p.m. I'm just saying you could change your life, and it
Come
started
on,
with
bro.
understanding that plan with having a budget. So that budget was how I was able to get to a point of going, oh, you know what? I'm making this amount. All right, if I take 30% of this and I put it into the market every week, what do I got to cut to do that? You know what? You buy a
Mm.
lot of sneakers, you smoke a lot of weed. You know what you need to do? You need to stop smoking weed. You need to stop buying sneakers. You know what? I'm going to do that. And that budget became something that I was able to put into a nest egg that was just a little $600. But that $600 grew to $100,000. That $100,000 grew to over $250,000. And now I'm over a quarter million. But the goal is we go into a million.
Amen.
This was just started off a budget of $600 because I decided I'm not going to smoke weed. And let me get you with the caveat: I still smoke weed. I just want to throw that out there. You just had to stop for the time you had to stop. You have to have discipline that comes with it. It's a, with the emotional intelligence comes the discipline. You got to face that person in the mirror and know certain shit you got to cut out to get to where you want to go. You got to make those sacrifices. You got to go. I think the stock market's rigged and it's a goddamn scam. If it is, show me. Put your money in there and prove it. Because you'll have the ability to prove this to yourself, especially with proven voice, proven help. So as long as you go with a system which you've seen work, I'm not with the oppressive system that they use against us. But I'm pointing out that that system be working over there. That's all I'm admiring. So I'm saying let's take some tools out of their tool shed and repurpose how we use those tools.
Yeah, yeah, we got to use. We need better tools, better tools. And so, one of the tools, to my brother's point, is we gotta play with power, right? To the brother's
Them
point,
books.
I think it reminds me of it was I think it was the House of Card episode where he was talking about like I can't respect the man who thinks money and power are the same thing. You feel
Hmm.
me? And
Preach.
money is the tool to power. You feel me? And so those
Look,
people who choose
let me give you a caveat on the back of that. They said you look at the money because somebody signed your check. The power was the person who signed your check. Ain't nobody signed his.
come on, come on, come on. He choosing who how much, right? And it's interesting.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's
Everybody look
like,
at the
what I'm
NFL
saying?
owners. Good God.
Now you cooking with it, man, and that's even what inspired even just the creation of the books, creation of BYB, creation of you just even talked about the anime creation of IQ Heavy. You know what I mean? Just being able to take our step out, push forth our visions, ownership. Being able to choose. Your time, choose because again, our time is far more important than the bread. You know, where we've been trading our time, for peons, for pennies, and we have to value our time because this time is like no other. And so I'm looking at a couple different ones. It's a lot of different ones that play because they all kind of have that emotional intelligence aspect to them. Uh, the key thing I'm seeing here is what's the one? Which one?
What you adding
I
up
like this
for the
one.
law for the laws?
Yeah, for the laws. Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of good ones. I want to make sure I pick the right one. Hold on one second.
Yeah, that's a really powerful book right there.
It
I ain't
is,
gonna
man.
hold you. I gave that to my son when he was like, let me put it this way. I gave it to him too early. That book is so powerful. You can't get that to no kid until you give them principle. Because without principles and values first, even if they're developing it, if they don't fully got it or fully grasp it, that book is not for them yet. Some books, some information can be too powerful. Because in the wrong hands, they won't understand. Like you could be diabolical or you could be a genius. You understand? That's how that book can, from a genius mindset from a child, they're in genius mode. When you give them a book like that, it could change everything. So be careful.
That's so good. That's facts. That's facts. That's facts. Because yeah, I can see how that definitely. Because then they'll use their emotional intelligence literally against
Hmm.
others. That's
And they
good.
be lacking that because they ain't got the experience yet. So they could think it's okay to do the wrong thing. That's why I say all money ain't good money. So you got to know when to do the right thing based off of your moral compass, which is something you got to develop.
Oh, this is good. I think this one fit heavy. 47 says, "Do not go past. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory,
Hmm.
learn when to stop."
ABC.
That's good. That's all. We're gonna read that one. Another one I saw that I think applied. You know, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. So that's number
Hmm.
44. 43, work on the hearts and minds of others. That's definitely a key part of emotional intelligence, being able to understand other people's intelligence. And then
Place yourself in their
45,
shoes.
exactly. 45 is preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. And I like that's what you were saying. Just taking time out to make change, but you still were able to keep you. So then, so yeah, we're gonna do 47. I like 47. 47 is the best fit for that one. Hold on a second. So we're gonna read from that. So y'all finna get this
And I know
48
we
law of power.
and I know we at the end of the day we talking about emotional intelligence, but at the same time, person like, well, what do I do? What's the path? Like, what? How do I go about this? So, because a lot of people just give you the information and not really giving you a direction, and I can't say the direction I'm giving you is for everybody. Everybody's path is different. But what I do know, as far as the planning part of this is with the plan process. That's what people tell you. Yo, it's a process. It's part of the plan, or it's a plan. It's part of the process. Vice versa. Play with the words. But the point is, if you take one step, for example, you want to be a better emotionally intelligent person, get a notepad. Some people call it a journal. I don't want to, play with people's emotions. So you can say journal, you can say notepad, think tank, whatever it is. But when you go through these things, if you journal them, you give yourself a reference point to actually look at your mirror. Because in reality, we don't look at the mirror every day. And if you do, you can't remember what you've seen because there's so many things that go on throughout your day. Now, if you write them things down, you get to turn the page. You write them things down, you get to turn the page. When you get to a certain point in the pages, you could look back and realize the consistency in what you do and find the consistencies into what you don't do. Because you might be one of those people who have a negative mindset. I'm never getting stuff done. But you can also look back and go, yo, I'm never smoking weed. I'm never doing alcohol. I'm never doing this. I'm never at the strip club. You got a whole bunch of things you're never doing that are positive. So it's just reinforcing the mindset. So once you
That's
get your
good.
mindset together, based off you jotting down stuff on your journal, you can come to fruition with, I am good at this. Maybe I can work on this. And that's progress.
No, that's good. That's good, bro. And as we talk about power, I see you put up Sister Pelosi making them power moves that getting people paid. Talk to us about that real quick before we get into the read.
Oh, Tempest AI. A lot of people don't be following the government. They got a lot of biases against it, but I tell people these are the people that you need to watch. You need to pay attention. I don't. A lot of people don't even have a Twitter. I'm like, or X. If you don't have an X account, and I'm this speaking to primarily our community, a lot of them won't be engaged in X. They'll say it's like propaganda, social media, blah blah blah. But I'm trying to get them to understand that this is where you engage with your leaders. You get to maybe not your leader, but the leaders that are appointed. The people that they've appointed in power actually do things that you can benefit from, provided you take advantage of the information because it's just that information. So what she did is she bought Tempest AI calls, but she bought them last month. We was reporting, telling people, hey, Nancy Pelosi's loading up on calls. So she bought these calls last month, and just in a month's time, they're up 183% since she bought them. So just saying, you didn't have to have no technical skills. You didn't have to know how to read a chart. You didn't even have to know what was going on. You could have followed Nancy Pelosi on X, seen she's buying this and she's a millionaire and she runs the government. So she knows if it's okay to buy this or not because she's well informed on the information. It's almost insider trading, dare I say it. So it's kind of a no brainer. So when you look into change your situation, you could have jumped into that. And I'm sure 183% could have did something for somebody. I don't, just starting out. You got $100. You made a couple $100 real fast. Now you're growing your account portfolio so you can get to the next one and the next one and the next one. Because remember, this is for the rest of your life. You have a long life. Even the people at 40, it's just starting. Don't think at 40 is over. If you think at 40 is over, you're gonna get to 60 and be like, damn, I should have been playing a lot harder because it ain't even over. Yeah, you got a lot more years after that, so keep going hard.
That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. That's a fact. And to the point of that, you probably just give me another play too for sure, because it's definitely still gonna go up. To your
Hmm.
point.
This shit is
Yes.
definitely still gonna go up. Like you said, months and years to come. They buy things that they know gonna go for years and months to come most times, or months and years to come.
That's good, bro. That's good, bro. So Law 47, because this is definitely all applicable. Again, as we read it, make sure y'all thinking about emotional intelligence, making sure you're mastering yourself, mastering your former self. You got to be able to grow past who you were yesterday, every day. Only think about today and being better than who you were before, and you'll always have a great time. So Law 47, excuse me. Do not go past the mark you aim for in victory. Learn when to stop. Judgment. The movement of victory is often the moment of greatest peril. In the heat of victory, in the heat of victory, arrogance and overconfidence can push you past the goal you had aimed for. And by going too far, you make more enemies than you defeat. Do not allow success to go to your head. There is no substitute for strategy and careful planning. Set a goal, and when you reach it, stop. Man, man, right here, that could be for every trader. Every trader hearing that, man, let me read that again. It said, the moment of victory is often the moment of greatest peril. In the heat of victory, arrogance and overconfidence can push you past the goal you had aimed for. And by going too far, you make more enemies than you defeat. Do not allow success to go to your head. There is no substitute for strategy and careful planning. Set a goal, and when you reach it, stop. Man, that's good.
Always. We don't want to have FOMO in the market that lead to the FOMO. If you get into a trade and we got a plan, we say we got a plan and we stick to it. If we're jumping in at $1 and we're jumping out at $2, then we're jumping in at $1 and we're jumping out at $2. But the plan is also with a contingency. If that dollar starts to turn around and it gets to 95 cents, we are getting out of there with the rest of our money. If it gets to $1.50 and we feel like the push can't get any higher, or we're looking based off of our technicals and we see a resistance point, we are taking the 50% because the goal is to make money. The goal is to go green. The goal is to hit your mark. If you shoot it for 50% and you hit 50%, I don't want to hear, oh, but it could go to 100. You should have closed out at 50% because at the end of the day, you live to fight another day and you'll do another 50% the next day. But if you try to go back into that trade without that plan and you say, well, I'm going to chase it to the 100 and it doesn't work out, it's because you chose to deviate from the plan. Even if you get the 50% and then you say, I'm going to go back in for another 50%, there's nothing wrong with that if you've deviated to make a new plan. So now you've made the one plan, you've taken the money out, and now you're saying, I've made money. I'm going to take maybe 25% of that money I made, and I think it's going to go even higher. I'm going to try that. That's my new plan with a new set of goals, with a new set of rules, with a new set of entries and exits. So the
Hmm,
plan is sound. If you do not plan, then you will fail. And
that's
anytime you
good.
go to go higher than your mark, you will lose your hand.
Oh, that's good, bro. That's good, bro. Cooking on them, cooking on them, cooking on them. My bro said, so, we're going to keep the reads, the transgression of the law. So in 559 BC, a young man named Cyrus gathered an immense army from the scattered tribes of Persia and marched against his grandfather Astyages, king of the Medes. He defeated Astyages with ease and had himself crowned king of Media, Persia, and began to forge the Persian Empire. Victory followed victory in quick succession. Cyrus defeated Croesus, ruler of Lydia, then conquered the Ionian islands and other smaller kingdoms. He marched on Babylon and crushed it. Now he is known as Cyrus the Great, king of the world. After capturing the riches of Babylon, Cyrus set his sights on the east, on the half barbaric tribes of the Massagetsi, a vast realm of the Caspian Sea. A fierce warrior race led by Queen Tomris The Masajati lacked the riches of Babylon, but Cyrus decided to attack them anyway. Believing himself superhuman and incapable of defeat, the Masajati would fall easily to his vast army, making his empire immense. In 529 BC, then Cyrus marched to the wide river Araxes gateway to the kingdom of the Masajeti as he set up camp on the western bank. He received a message from Queen Tomris, King of Medes. She told him, I advise you to abandon this enterprise, for you cannot know if it in the end it will do you any good. Rule your own people, and try to bear the sight of me ruling mine. But of course you will refuse my advice, as the last thing you wish for us is to live in peace. Tomris, confident of her army's strength and not wishing to delay the inevitable battle, offered to withdraw the troops on her side of the river, allowing Cyrus to cross its waters safely and fight her army on the eastern side if this was his desire. Cyrus agreed, but instead of engaging the enemy directly, he decided to play a trick. The Masajai knew few luxuries. Once Cyrus had crossed the river and made his camp on the eastern side, he set the table for an elaborate banquet full of meat, delicacies, and strong wine. Then he left his weakest troop in the camp and withdrew the rest of the army to the river. A large Masajati detachment soon attacked the camp and killed all of the Persian soldiers in a fierce battle. Then, overwhelmed by the fabulous feast that had been left behind, they ate and drank to their heart's content. Later, inevitably, they fell asleep. The Persian army returned to the camp that night, killing many of the sleeping soldiers and capturing the rest. Among the prisoners was their general, a youth named Sparajapsis, son of Queen Tomris. When the queen learned what had happened, she sent a message to Cyrus, chiding him for using tricks to defeat her army. Now listen to me, she wrote, and I will advise you for your own good. Give me back my son and leave my country with your forces intact, and be content with your triumph over a third part of the Masajati. If you refuse, I swear by the sun, our master, to give you more blood than you can drink for all your gluttony. Cyrus scoffed at her. He would not release her son. He would crush these barbarians. The queen's son, seeing he would not be released, could not stand the humiliation, so he killed himself. The news of her son's death overwhelmed Tomris. She gathered all the forces that she could muster in her kingdom and whipping them into a vengeful frenzy, engaged Cyrus' troops in a violent and bloody battle. Finally, the Masajati prevailed. In their anger, they decimated the Persian army, killing Cyrus himself. After the battle, Tomris and her soldiers searched for the battlefield for Cyrus' corpse. When she found it, she cut off his head and shoved it into a wineskin full of human blood, crying out, Though I have conquered you and lived, yet you have ruined me by treacherously taking my son. See now I fulfill my threats. You have your fill of blood. After Cyrus's death, the Persian Empire quickly unraveled. One act of arrogance undid all of Cyrus's good work. Interpretation. There is nothing more intoxicating than victory, and nothing more dangerous. Cyrus had built his great empire on the ruins of a previous one. 100 years earlier, the powerful Assyrian Empire had been totally destroyed, its once splendid capital of Nineveh but ruins in the sand. The Assyrians had suffered this fate because they had pushed too far, destroying one city state after another until they lost sight of the purposes of their victories and also of the cost. They overextended themselves and made many enemies who were finally able to band together and destroy them. Cyrus ignored the lessons of Assyria. He paid no heed of the warnings of oracles and advisors. He did not worry about offending a queen. His many victories had gone to his head, clouding his reason. Instead of consolidating his already vast empire, he pushed forward. Instead of recognizing each situation as different, he thought each new war would bring the same result as the one before, as long as he used the methods he knew: ruthless force and cunning. Understand, in the realm of power, you must be guided by reason. To let a momentary thrill or an emotional victory influence or guide your moves will prove fatal. When you attain success, step back, be cautious. When you gain victory, understand the part played by the particular circumstances of the situation, and never simply repeat the same actions again and again. History is littered with ruins of victorious empires and the corpse of leaders who could not learn to stop and consolidate their gains.
That's so much money. So
That's good. That's good, man. That's so applicable. That is so applicable. That is so applicable. That is so applicable, man.
yeah,
Thoughts on that, Pat?
ancient times will definitely bring you back to the present. Just different wordplay for how they use the terminologies for it. Because
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
it's the fear, and it's always something in place that gives you the ability to foresee it, but you have to take heed to it.
Mm. Little oracles and advisors, right? Ain't it interesting?
Hmm.
Uh,
So
we
so
oracles and
when you
advisors.
got
That's why funny like that.
exactly that's what I said, when you got basically oracles and advisors right now on the call, all y'all gotta do is tap in. The problem is y'all don't want to win. If you want to win, they go you out. You just gotta be willing to take the leap of faith to get out. Most people are not willing to take that leap. Don't be most people.
Amen, bro. Amen, bro. Amen, bro. Wow, wow, man. That was definitely a good read. Because that's definitely something I see is what every man can learn from and get better in their household of is just being able to be okay with this victory. You know, this is how I, because it's even just the ability to call or know what it is you want. You know, that is definitely something that isn't taught in our schools, isn't taught in our households, isn't taught in many homes, and it's literally the difference maker. It's literally the thing that's going to allow us to actually be okay with our outcomes better, right? Because we'll be clearer with what the end is. Because that's one thing I'm seeing is not enough people are starting with the end in mind. They're because again, if we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan, and so many people are just wishing and hoping it comes together, as opposed to them being okay with their success and making this their moment where they then take a step back, assess what happened. And I like what they said too. Never try to still approach it the exact same way. Because I think that's a great analogy for the market too. The market never quite works the same exact way, even if it's the same money you
Yeah.
use. It doesn't go up the same exact way. No delta does. No, even if it's on the same stock,
Hmm.
because it's when it went up, or when that particular or what price it went up when you had that particular asset. And so there's so many factors always change our outcomes, and so we have to be adaptable to be able to grow. So that was definitely a good read.
Agree. Especially with the way the world going right now. That makes sure you're paying attention. Donald Trump right now got a live so it's Friday after Friday on the markets. I got a report I'm looking at. I see the world's on the brink of World War III. Trump's dire warning. But we was always going there. World War III was inevitable. It's just the timing. It's usually about every 20 years or so. Go through a regime change or we go through a prosper of a war. So you had World War One, World War Two. We're actually overdue for the World War III. We're supposed to have it a good couple of years back, but they were diverting
80s.
it. Keep kicking the can down the road. So they diverted as long as they could divert, and now you see the world changing in front of your very eyes. You just got the Gulf of Mexico turned into the Gulf of America, and you as an American citizen can't go to Mexico no more without a visa, not your
Wow.
passport. I want you to have a visa now. So America is changing, bureaucracy is changing, the landscape is changing, the people at the powers is changing. Realize that they're dismantling the Department of Justice and then the dismantling of the Department of Education. They're dismantling a lot of departments that at the end of the day, if you don't put yourself in position to win or make sure you got your kids in position to win, it's going to be a bad situation for a lot of people. So kind of now it's like I don't want to put fear on people because that's the point. We're going with emotional intelligence versus the lack of it. So you need to be aware of what's going on and realize that now is the time for you to take advantage of the ability to have an advantage, or you will be stuck by the wayside.
So true, bro. So true, bro. So true. That definitely is something that we can always stay key on. Is you got to be able to know the times, because even to your point, knowing what time it is also lets you know what plays to make. And so that actually brings us to our most important part, of our strong ahead. Last week we were talking about some strong plays. We talked about XRP, some deep seek. We also talked about some meta plays. We also talked about some chewy plays. I'm talking about. So talk to the people about what were some plays that were excellent this week. This strong again. We everything we do is strong. So the strong that passed and the strong ahead that they should consider.
From the week, we had Nvidia playing around. We had Hood. I mean, really, to be honest, it was more so crypto related this week. So things like Hood, Coinbase, MicroStrategies. Those things was really easy plays. I would even say today is a really easy play because crypto is going to have a pullback, and then going into next week because we don't have the market open on Monday. We're going to have a boom on Tuesday. So if you bought crypto this week for options or if you bought it for just regular, we're going to have a nice tick and a pop or a nice tick to the upside going into Monday and Tuesday through the President's Day. But I'm looking right now. If anybody needed some far out leap calls, we got I got AMD on my list right now, $150 call at 6 to 9 months out. We're looking at tech. We could do Nvidia and Palantir doing 6 to 9 months out. You can't lose on these. These are guaranteed leaps. I'm telling you about companies in the future that we know will be worth more than what they are now, surely based on the numbers that they're currently producing. We're not even talking about anything new coming down the pipeline or anything new being introduced that would make them make more money in revenue. They're not going to do anything that would make them lose anything in revenue because they're woven into America. So the Palantirs and the AMDs and the Nvidians, you can get those for 6 to 9 months based off the pullback. I mean, what we were looking at previously was like things to give examples on, like playing the narrative. Going into the Super Bowl, DraftKings is pretty big. So with things like that, where a good week or two or a month before, let me jump into DraftKings, let me jump into MGM, because these plays are things that they're going to make a lot of money during those times because of the gambling. And you could probably hold it for 3 to 6 months because when they do their earnings, they're going to report the money they made during the time it was at the Super Bowl. So it'll make them look really good.
That's genius.
But
That's good. That's a good way to
that's
reverse
just
engineer it.
some yeah, there's just some good alpha for those situations. Now, if we're looking into crypto, I would say people could start nibbling on Ethereum. Ethereum is so low that it's going to come back for everybody. Ethereum should get to about 12. Well, I'll go low, 10 to 12,000 by the end of the year. So with it being around 2,700, $2,800 right now, it's kind of a steal. You buy as much of that as you can. And just to give something for like right now for the week, mm, I got a bullish call on Sentinel One. The ticker symbol is S. March 21st is where we're looking to get out to. It's a $24 call. And you should start seeing profits within 2 to 5 days. So that play is called is S, Sentinel One. So you just
Sentinel
type
one.
in
Sentinel
S.
one.
You go on your Robinhood, your Webull, your Chartshop, whatever it is that you got for your platform. You type S in there. You look for Sentinel One, and then you go into the options chain and you look for March 21st for the date, and you're looking for a $24 strike price, and you want to get that call.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's hope y'all writing down these plays. You already know we were gonna write the record back. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Hit the replays because we are talking about these strongs ahead, strong, and not only just for these couple this last week or this last strong or this last strong ahead or the strong ahead that we're about to have. But 6 to 9 months out, these are going to be plays that are going to take us to the next level. And so we got to focus together as a unit. We got to focus together as a trading community. This is a BYB community where we're encouraging everybody to be your best. To Brody's point, we can transform the way we do money. We have to put our money into the market in the sense of as employees, as well as also investing in ourselves, our ideas, the things that, because again, it's all about our cash flow. That being able to have that cash flow allows you to be able to make much more wiser moves. Being able to have more patient trading is everything. To Brody's point, I love what he said. Not having to put up all of what you have, no matter what it is never a good investment. that's something that we can definitely take home, and definitely something that we have to make sure that we let all divine masculines know, because you got to protect your home, because you got to protect yourself in the future you, and think about what the decisions you're making so it doesn't force you into making aggressive decisions. Again, everything, or at least when you are tested through the storm of life, that is when your character is tested. And so money doesn't expose that, or money doesn't expose that. It only just reveals exactly who you are, more of it or less of it. And so it's important for us to be able to be somebody that is an excellent steward of money, and that doesn't force money to change us to become a negative character. It's always for us to be a positive character. And so we shouldn't be doing negative things for just for money. We shouldn't be having to hurt people and steal from people when it comes from money, right? When we're able to get this thing legitimately by bringing value, just like how me and my Brody are doing right now today, just by sharing our experiences, sharing our reads, sharing about different things that you can get on our bookstore, because these are all books that we sell on our funny bookstore, books that transform our life. It's on that TikTok shop. So we was on TikTok before it was popular. I'm talking about, so y'all can get our books on that TikTok shop, because it's key. YouTube Live. We also got our Discord going. So a lot of these plays that bro is dropping, he already hit the Coinbase play. He gave us the stronger head. And so if y'all want to be in the know, leaving the like Nancy Pelosi, we ain't talking inside of you. I'm talking about we don't know nothing, folks. This is just off of really more oracle, of us off just predictions, knowing the movement of the nation. You are able to really see the patterns. We call it pattern recognition, or better said, reading the realm. Or that's one of my brodies say. When we read the realm and let the realm talk back to us, it lets us know a lot of these plays. AI is something that the realm keeps saying, right? The realm keeps preparing us for in one form or another. So AI companies, that's a pretty safe bet in this particular day and time. Doesn't mean invest in them all though, right? Because they all have different PE ratios. You got to look what when one of the traders or master investors say, you got to look under the hood. You got to look under the car. You got to see what that engine look like. You feel me? So you know what you're
Mhm.
dealing with. So you know how if it'll be strong enough to last for the journey, right? You got to pick assets, investment vehicles that will last for the journey. You got to pick investments that particularly have pricing power. Pricing, to my Brody's point, their ability to be able to choose or increase their prices to my Brody's point, is a great way to know if this company can last. They can choose their product pricing. They also have a marketplace to also place their product. If they don't have to place their product on other people's platforms in order to sell, like an Apple, not only has its own platforms, but it can also sell itself on Amazon. It can also sell itself now on Alibaba. It's now accessing different markets. These are our plays that are free game, right? Free for us to see, that are happening in real time, and we don't have to be overly intelligent or overly simple or overly anything, right? We just have to pay attention, right? And that's true wisdom, right? It's just being able to pay attention at the right time. So you might have knowledge, but if you don't do it at the right time, then it's not wisdom. Wisdom is doing that knowledge at the right time. So we have to be able to make time for what matters. And so what matters to us in this BYB community is being our very best. And so I want to give my Brody a round of applause just for talking that truth, talking that information, that IQ heavy to take people to the next level. And so before we close out, Brody, I want you to leave the people on some truths, talk to the people, and give them some game in terms of just mastering emotional intelligence, giving them that summary, the things that you really want to hit home for them, and make sure that they are focusing on in this day and time.
Just making sure you stay cognitive of not getting caught up in what's going on in society too much, more so focusing on running your race, not getting caught up in the sprint, trying to keep up with everybody. Remember, you don't need to have the next Jordans or the hottest car or go on the next vacation. You could put that money into assets. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to be great. You're not going to be running a Facebook to post and talk about it. But you'll actually be able to change your life. So the whole point is to change your life, to make money, set goals and actually keep them, and be able to buy your time back and spend time with your family. If those are not your goals, then by all means, chase the American dream. But if you actually want to change your life and wake up,
So say the last part, Bernie. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. On that note, we'll close out. Yes, sir.